Thanks for watching once again, and the second episode of the Daily Debate on the new year. Happy 2014, talking about 2014 and talking about also future investments. Let's talk about building the country's institutions, talking about a project that is considered to be billed as the development project of the century, the Suez Canal Access Development Project. I have with me a very distinctive panel for tonight, Dr. Hussein Shuraiba, who is the Vice President for Planning and Development. Dr. Hussein, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, ma'am.
And Dr. Mehna, the Professor of Economics, Cairo University. Thank you very much, Dr. Mehna.
Thanks for having me.
Well, starting, Dr. Shuraiba, with that important project, and we thought on Nile TV that it is very important to promote projects that are talking about Egypt's future, the development project of the century. How about the expectations from this important project? Such projects, yes, should be on Nile TV and should also be on the list and should be on the agendas of all the channels that would promote and market Egypt's potential to the world. Dr. Shuraiba.
Very good. Well, I've seen only the Nile TV promoting projects of Egypt. Others, they are just showing a kind of a chatting or negotiation or fighting. So there is, this is the difference between Nile TV and others. That's number one. Number two, Nile TV is bringing up what are the major problems of Egypt, focusing on it, presenting them to the people in a very respectable and professional manner. This is what I found, that Nile TV is a leading part in this. And anyone should go for a TV channel. First of all, he should think, what type of TV channel is providing me a knowledge? And that's Nile TV.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah, that's our duty, and definitely highlighting Egypt's national projects is considered to be among our top priorities here on the channel. One of them is the Suez Canal Access Project. Definitely a challenging project. This was not a new project, right? It was there since Sadat era.
Yes.
So what hampered the project and why did it not see the limelight after the present day?
Well, if we want to talk about the Nile, we talk about the Suez Canal. We have to talk about is and a zone which has been done by 100% pure Egyptian. All these laborers, all these talented people who have started from the 1870 until today are run by the Egyptians and done in a very good way. Sometimes leaders would like to keep and hide this project because they are not ready to go for something big. It's not like Nasser. Nasser, he was ready to go for the Haida, and he was really pushing for this, and that's one of the good things. The Muslim brothers used this not as a project, used them as a media for them, just to present themselves and go...
Propaganda.
Yes, and to show that the people I am doing as Nasser is doing, and we are bringing up a big project. But unfortunately, it's not done right. So Mubarak or the Muslim brothers, both of them, they were not ready. Sadat, I excuse him for one thing, because he have done a great job in 1973, and he was doing a very good steps for the economy of Egypt, but he was assassinated. So he didn't have the opportunity to go for it. So the two others were not good. Today, this project can be an important thing on some steps. The first one, and we should think about it, is our constitution. We should go and say, which is on the 13th or the 14th and 15th
yes.
of this month, we should say yes. Why? Because this is the basic. Some of the things in the Constitution, maybe I agree with it, maybe I don't agree. But in totally, I agree. Why? Because it's the base, and I can modify. So I have to have a very solid Constitution. And we start from this. Two, the law, the concept law for this particular project should be something unique. Why should be unique? Because, first of all, it is in a critical zone. It is on the borders of other countries we are suspicious about.
Right.
We are also need to develop this not for a party or a city. We want to develop this for the global of Egypt.
Right, for the future generations.
For everyone in
everybody.
Egypt, from Aswan up to Matruh. So this is a project for all, not for a particular party.
Yeah.
This project can lead Egypt to good things because the location of this project is unique. And nobody have done anything for this unique project except God. So the unique of the project, it's location. So we should think deeply in a very professional way just to make this project an existing perfect one. I have seen some, and I've attended lots of meetings for this project. Unfortunately, there is no time frame for this project. This project is a wording moving out. And until today, I'm saying it. Please, we want to see, before starting in this project, the concept, how it's going to be done. And who is entitled to go for this.
I'll ask you about this, Dr. Shuraiba, who is to go for it, but right after I asked Dr. Mehna concerning a project for all Egyptians, as Dr. Shuraiba had asserted, the location definitely is quite strategic, and also it has a security aspect, as he kindly mentioned.
Correct.
So if you would kindly show us here more about the location.
When the development of the Suez Canal access came about, it was really about an economic benefit. But I think over the past 3 years, we have witnessed that it has a security element, and national security particularly into there. Just to explain to the viewers, the borders of Israel, we have 255 kilometers borders with Israel. Most of them are high mountains. So invasion here, from the national security point of view, is difficult. The problem we have here is 35 kilometers that runs from Rafah south. The 35 kilometers, 11 of them are with the Gaza Strip. So for us to be able to block this, we need to develop two main areas. The first one is the Al Arish Valley, which locates here, and we've got the Salam tunnel that runs from the Damietta branch of the river going into Sinai. So that will help us to develop this particular area, and then the second component is the axis. The axis, basically, we've got the two main points that can be used, for fixing ships, building ships, east of Port Said and here on the Suez, on the head of the tip of the Suez branch. So what we need to look at here is a comprehensive plan to develop not only the Suez axis, but the entire Sinai region. And when I looked at it, looking at a number of resources and amount of resources we have available here, the security aspects, the face of Egypt here on the Mediterranean and the Red Sea, I suggested a number of areas with main provinces, very large, very difficult to secure, and also very difficult to develop.
Right.
But what we're looking at here is dividing Sinai into 4 provinces, the Taba province, and then the central Sinai, Suez. will have Ismailia and Port Said added into the same. They basically cuddle the Suez Canal, and then Sharm el-Sheikh in the south. And then also here, what I call Fustat is basically Sharqiya and part of the Dakhliya provinces. The advantage of that is that I'll be able to have a depth into the national security, into the Delta area, and also stay as close as possible to the borders of Israel, the 35 kilometers on top here, to be able to block it.
Right.
And there's a number of strategies that I put to be able to achieve that. Number one is to move the political capital, establish in Egypt 3 main capitals. Most developed countries have 2 capitals, the economic capital and the political capital. What I'm suggesting here in Egypt is that we'll have 3 capitals. Cairo will remain the economic capital. October, because of the infrastructure, will be the administrative capital. So that all the associations, agencies that run the country will be in October. Good infrastructure, very secure and safe. But what I'm going to do here is move the political capital into the center of Sinai. And as crazy as it sounds, we've got 187 embassies, foreign embassies in Egypt. I'll move them all here, 400 associations, and 36 ministries. All I'm going to move here from the government is the minister and a number of people with him.
The question is, how far is this feasible on solid grounds? How far can there be?
Based on my studies, it is feasible, because what I'm trying to do here is block Israel. The first people will be attacked if Israel ever attacks us will be the embassies. So having a political institutions here, it provides us what we call a political shield.
Strategic depth.
That's right. It's a political shield. That's number one. Number two, we've got an economic shield represented here in the Suez Canal. We've got a human shield. A human shield will go here into the Arish area and then start moving people into the center of Sinai. There is a number of ways to move people. Number one, people that are from the Delta and work in Sinai, give them land. So I'm suggesting in the first phase, every family will take a 500 square meters to build a decent house. So if, for example, I'm from Mansoura, work in Sharm el-Sheikh, the government will give me 500 square meters to build my house, and I've got 5 years time frame to move out of the Delta into the Sinai, taking all my family with me. That's number one. Number two is starting giving people that want to invest in Sinai, give them the land. At the moment, Sinai is not occupied. The land is very expensive. So what I'm suggesting, give people the land. The second phase, I'll give every family 1,000 square meters to build a factory or a workshop in an industrial area of their choice. So slowly we'll be able to get the money out of the people that, you know, keeping it in the cupboard and invest it in Sinai. Sharm el-Sheikh will be the Riviera of Egypt, focusing primarily on the development of tourism in here. Industrial areas, we've got a number of ports on the Aqaba Gulf as well as the Suez Gulf. So the depth here in this particular area, we've got the Berdawi region. This particular area is easy to actually do it. It's flat and it's got a large portion of it that it is feasible for agriculture. So as it is crazy as it sounds, it can be done.
Sounds rosy, but
Yeah.
I'll ask Dr. Shuraiba more about the application.
Yeah.
Well,
And how far is this feasible? Yeah.
Well, this is in the normal circumstances, it's okay, and we can go for it, and it's not wrong. But right now we are in a very critical situation, economy-wise, as well as everybody's looking to us, especially the Egyptian people. The Egyptian people are worried about this project, and they are afraid of lots of things, which I accepted. But we should start at the very beginning, before giving lands, before assigning even the type of project should be there. We should analyze a very important thing, the elements in 5 main cities surrounding the Suez Canal, which is north of Sinai, south of Sinai, Port Said, Ismailia, and Suez. These 5 cities, I have to know the real elements there, which I can use them. That's number one.
Right.
Number two, I have a problem. And these problems are already existed, but it needs to generate it. How can you do this? It's textile. We have a problem in the textile. We have factories are going to close down. We have lots of headaches, and this is factories with a huge capacity of people. So how can we prove this, and how can we make it match with our vision in Sinai?
Right. Well, definitely there should be a very important, at this very important juncture, a vision, talking about promoting such projects, talking about a time frame, as Dr. Shuraiba was saying, and the concept of making it, how is this going to be done? That's a big question mark. Well, Dr. Mehana suggested more than one idea. Well, Dr. Shuraiba told him more about the fact that it sounds good, but however, pending the challenging situation that the country is in, well, how far this is going to be feasible. We're going to resume the discussion, but right after this report concerning the development of the area, and we'll be back.
The Board of Directors of the Social Fund for Development has approved a budget of 3 billion Egyptian dollars for 2014 to finance development programs of small enterprises and labor-intensive projects in the field of infrastructure and community-based ventures. According to a statement from the Cabinet's official, the decision came in a meeting of the board, which is headed by the interim Prime Minister Hazem al-Biblawi, who is also the chairman of the SFD. Hani Saleh, spokesperson of the cabinet, stated that according to Article 2 of Law Number 141 issued in 2004, the government is committed to support the Social Fund for Development through working with firms with all enterprises. The statement said that the organization has allotted a total of 1.4 billion Egyptian pounds to develop around 12,000 small projects throughout Egypt from January to November of this year. Meanwhile, the fund directed to infrastructure and community-based projects in the same period amounted to 79 million pounds. Saleh said that through 2013, the SFD has helped project owners market their products through holding 41 exhibitions in different governorates, adding that as a result of these showcases, 923 projects have achieved sales totaling 39.4 million pounds. The SFD was established in 1991 to combat unemployment, alleviate poverty, improve living conditions, and assist in socio-economic development. The board of directors of the organization includes Egypt's ministers of planning, international cooperation, industry and foreign trade, finance and local development. Early in September, the European Union contributed a grant of 70 million euros towards financing SFD's emergency labor-intensive investment project. Deputy Prime Minister Ziad Bahauddin and European Union Ambassador to Egypt's James said that the SFD Managing Director Ghada Wali oversaw the signing of the agreement. The agreement sought to create short-term employment opportunities for unskilled and semi-skilled labor and to alleviate poverty through carrying out labor-intensive projects in cooperation with all governorates.
So the targets of the project, it's very important to know the targets. What do we want out of this project, and how are we going to do it? 10 goals behind the Suez Canal Access Development Project. Dr. Shuraiba would like you to talk to us more about how far will this important project create new jobs. This is very important for Egypt as the unemployment problem remains challenging, and also the issue of being a distinctive logistical area in itself.
First of all, let's assign that the people who should, number one, have the priority to work over there is the people live within the cities overlooking the Suez Canal. That's number one. Why? Because housing and getting and sheltering them right now at the first 5 years, it's a sort of an expensive thing to do. That's number one. Number two, cities which is having a major problem, like in Upper Egypt, Suhaj, Ilmenia, Bani Suef, these people You find them everywhere on the streets in Cairo and in Alexandria. They want to work, and they are sitting in the area. These people can be moved and sheltered as a group with big companies to assist them in assigning jobs. So, number one, assigning people to do.
Assigning the right people also.
Yes.
And this is very important.
That's
that's the bulk, that's the base.
That's the base. The second thing, I should create a new bank for this project. All banks in Egypt can contribute in this bank, but this bank is holding and focusing on investments in this area and creating new jobs and creating new companies, small or big or medium. And that's another thing, another topic. We have it, and it's already, there is a big study for this. The second thing, who are
the contributors?
Yes, I can assure you right now that the contributor, if this project is led in front of all Egyptians, it will be more than 40 million Egyptians directly. And I think
it will unleash positive energy.
Yes. Every Egyptian, I think, the 40 million has a 1,000 Egyptian pounds. You're talking about 40 billion Egyptian pounds will be ready immediately from all Egyptians to contribute in this. We don't want to go into the stock market, and we don't want to, no, we will say it's 1,000 pounds with an interest of the bank, you're going to get it, and that's it. So you have 40 billion ready to do and start. But you should have the idea, the full concept of this project analyzed in front of everyone, should be aware of it. That's number two. Number three, I'm happy that all Arab countries, especially Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, they are supporting Egypt right now. Kuwait is supporting in deep way with Egypt. Bahrain, all these countries are supporting this. So we can use their investment. I have attended a meeting of investments worldwide from east to west in London. But let me tell you something. Our share of investment worldwide doesn't exceed 1%. The investment of China, it's 18%. United Arab Emirates is 9%. This is to show you that we are way far of investments. So we need to push the good ideas, the good project, and the stable law, plus we have to show benefits, real benefits, not for big guys, but for the common Egyptians, number one.
Dr. Shuraiba, well, very important points, assigning the right people to be there and the bulk according to which who are going to work, the treasure for the project. Also sounds great, creating the new bank for this important project from the eyes of an economic expert, Dr. Mehana. How do you see the creation of such a bank? How far it can make a difference, especially if we do have contributors from the world bodies and also from Arab countries?
It is definitely viable and feasible. It is easy to establish an investment bank that looks after the Suez corridor. There's just 2 points that I want to say in comment of the areas of government having problems. Yes, but I don't believe that the government will be able to solve long-term problems if they are closed up on just solving problems. On the long run, nothing is going to move.
What can make things moving?
They're going to have to have a vision. Because at the moment, they're very closed up on solving problems.
What
and
is the main axis of this vision in your perspective?
What are we going to do in the next 30, 50 years? 30, 40, 50 years. At the moment, we work in day by day, solving problems. But I think if they can have a vision outside the box, a creative, aggressive plan. In terms of the appointment of the right people and also attracting the right channel, and dealing with the right institutions. In foreign direct investment, we believe that number one is land has to be planned, able to know where I'm going to put each type of project. If I'm going to have on a portside area and the south here on the Suez tip, what kind of projects I'm going to have on the left and the right, or the east and the west, and then start promoting the foreign direct investment. We looked at the tour that Dr. Morsi took last year trying to attract foreign direct investment. That's the other way around. Because if I go to China and try to attract them for investment, all I'm going to get is sweets, snacks, all consuming products. But what I need to do...
it was like mere propaganda as well. I mean, things were not feasible on solid grounds.
And you will get what is good for the economy, not what is good for us. So for us to be able to attract good foreign direct investment and deal with proper institutions, I need to know what I need to do first, have my own plan, have my own objectives, and then from there start moving. Yes, I need car manufacturing, then I go to Japan or go to Germany. I need weapon, then I go to other companies. So I think that's the only way to deal with foreign direct investment from proper entities that we need to attract. In terms of attracting the right people, I think this hasn't happened, which was one of the areas or the demands of the January 25th and June 30th, is putting the right people in place. We have a lot of corruption in government. We have people that underqualified.
We're talking about putting the right people in the Suez Canal Access Project.
And the Access Project and the Planning Committee. Yesterday, I submitted the second crossing plan to the Suez Canal Authority, Admiral Mohab Memish.
Right.
2 weeks ago, they advertised...
And how are you going to work in coordination after they study the project that you have presented, right?
Yes, as soon as they come up with the report, the advert actually attracted a lot of planning institutions locally and internationally, and I submitted the second crossing as a suggestion. So what they're doing at the moment is having a planning committee that studies all plans, and then they're going to come back to people and say, okay, well, we're going to form a planning committee for the Suez Canal corridor, and we need, you know, these and these people. So have them all
and put the criteria according to which they are going to choose who can be hands-on.
That's right. That's right.
Dr. Shuraiba, creating the new bank definitely would help, and also working on a vision that is going to be translated on solid grounds. You talked about our share concerning the investment worldwide that does not exceed 1%.
Yes.
Well, isn't the figure alarming? And
yes, it is alarming.
Yeah. And what's the way out?
The way out is to have, number one, stability. And starting with stability, we should start with the Constitution. I'm going back to the same words I said. So, number one, I go for the Constitution. I say yes, finish, let's finish this. This is step one is gone. Let's go for the second step. That's number one. Number two, ma'am, investments, people wants to invest. Egypt has 90 million, and that's a good number of capacity of people that I make any product can be used. So I'm, as a businessman, I have the market in front of me, and that's an asset to Egypt. So 90 million doesn't worry me. This is a sort of an advantage for any businessman to come and invest in Egypt. But I should say that the investment, who wants to come, he have to recognize that he is only investing money, but I have the market, I have the land, I have sometimes the know-how. So we should, and some of the main, what you call resources. So like the cotton, you have the cotton, the best cotton in worldwide. You have the long thread cotton. Where is our material of the cottons? We are selling this to China. For what? And we are importing.
Right. Well, lots of plans in that area and developing international trade in particular. We'll be talking more also concerning diversifying the range of activities in the area. Dr. Mehana, you studied this area and the Suez Canal Access Development Project more through a sense of a vision that you have presented to the cabinet, diversifying the range of activities in the area. What do you think could be the activities that is going to be definitely having a positive impact on also a long-time growth, economic growth for the country?
Definitely all types of industry can be done in Sinai, but particularly around the corridor, we need to focus on heavy industry. Vehicles, machines, because basically we've got ports and machines or cars will come out of the factory straight into the port and be exported. So it will basically save us a lot of cost when it comes to trading. The main thing here, which also included in the second crossing, is the bridge, or now modified to be a tunnel between Egypt and Saudi Arabia. And that basically will not interfere with the trading of Israel, because Israel objected to the bridge because it will block the shipment of Israel. But having the tunnel basically will go underwater, so will connect Egypt to Asia. At the moment here, we've got that connection, and we need to start developing this quickly, because Israel has already looked at the establishing the train from Tel Aviv here up to Rafah. So in terms of the connection, I would focus, in terms of industries, I would focus on heavy industries around the axis or the corridor, and then looking at trade with neighbors. And especially when we start the train, or rebuilding the train that was there once in Sinai.
Right. We're still talking about the potentials of this mega development project for the country, the Suez Canal Development Axis that has been billed as the development project of the century. Many potentials for this mega project. Dr. Mehna was speaking about heavy industry, factories and developmental projects over there. We'll be talking about also major residential centers around the area, about industrial cities, about mega agricultural projects as well, right after this report.
In the newly drafted constitution, science, research and technology are specifically mentioned in a few articles, showing that Egypt is making the first step towards moving up the ranks of technologically advanced countries.
Science and technology is top of the agenda, because without that, the country is not going to progress. So this will be, that will be stated quite clearly. We have put a modest 1%, but that is 5 times increase on the 0.2%, which has been spent for a long time. And we say that this constitutes a minimum, and that this should be increased gradually, but with specific targets which are timed, not leaving it forever.
Article 23 of the Constitution states that 1% of the national budget will be placed for information, research and technology. And scientists and experts say that this is by far the greatest milestone in the Constitution, and the benefits of it will be seen in the economy very soon. Lina Hasaballah, Nile TV International.
Thank you, Lina. Talking about scientific research in the new constitution, definitely a bulk. And while we are talking about the Suez Canal Axis Development Project, definitely also among the bulk and the main basics of the project is that it should be dealt with according to scientific basis, right, Dr. Shuraiba?
Absolutely. If we go for the scientific ideas and the scientific thoughts, like Dr. Magdi, you know, I consider him one of the excellent persons representing Egypt, in Egypt and out of Egypt.
Right.
If we use his talents, let's say in the medical treatments, the scientific ideas and scientific way to implement it in a virgin zone like this would be a plus to the zone. Plus, as Dr. Mehna mentioned, that this area are going to be sheltering lots of people, which is medical insurance and medical treatment and everything like this should exist. So if we go for scientific ideas, scientific ways, even in generating electricity by the new scientific ideas of useful ways, like the wind, like from the heat of the sun, you can use generating electric powers. So we have to use scientific ideas and just to keep the environment excellent as it is right now. And we don't want to spoil it.
Mega projects, Dr. Mehana, mainly based upon scientific research. While dealing with the second crossing, how was scientific research the bulk and the basis according to which you worked?
Basically, you know, scientific research service mega projects. And when we start conducting a research, we first set out the objectives. What is it that I want to do and why I want to do it and how and all the resources required. And when I looked at the resources available from secondary data, such as reports, and from the data that I gathered basically by going into the field itself, trying to collect data around the amount of resources and the types of resources available, I think Sinai can be the drive of Egypt, and that's why I called it the second crossing, because it has the condition that the crossing of Egypt to the 21st century is linked to Sinai. In terms of the scientific, the types of, or the fields of scientific research, as Dr. Shah said, we've got medical scientific fields, trade, international business, and all types of businesses. So I think here I would say that a link needs to be created between government agencies and universities. University professors have the expertise and skills to be able to conduct research, and while the government has the logistics and the fund. So if we create that link between universities and the government agencies, then all research projects that are serving mega projects can be outsourced to universities, appointing particular types of universities or faculties or departments to conduct the scientific research and present a report to the government, and based on that. And that's what we call an informed decision.
Right. Finally, Dr. Shuraiba, a final note, because we have to go to our top stories.
Well, the final thing I want to say, let's start this project as soon as possible. That's number one. Number two, we need to show all Egyptians, like we did have the constitution written, we want to have the project of the Suez Canal, 192 kilometers, set up with the plans, everything, that everyone can read it and be confirmed that he is aware of it. Number three, we need to have the law stable for this, starting with the constitution, which is we are going to vote for it on the 14th and the 15th, and saying yes. That's number four, we have to let the people of Egypt, the common, the 30, 40 million of Egyptians, have to be a partner in this project, because this is their project. This is their future for their children.
Right, the future for the children, and Suez Canal Access Development Project, billed as the project for the 21st century, the development project of the century, was our first episode of Thursday Daily Debate in the new year, because we wanted it to be an optimistic note to start with. Thank you very much, Dr. Hussein Shuraiba, who is the Vice President for Planning and Development, and also Dr. Ahmed Mehna, who is the Professor of Economics at Cairo University, for joining us on the Daily Debate for tonight. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being here.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, dear viewers, for joining us. I'm Tahrid Hassin, thanking you all for watching. Stay tuned for the top stories coming up shortly. For economic prosperity for the country, and that is going to be our topic of discussion for tonight. We are going to read further the potential and the main targets of this important, ambitious project for Egypt, the Suez Canal Access Development Project. And we have with us Dr. Hussein Shuraiba, the Vice President for Planning and Development, and he's going to talk to us about the potential that this important project offers for the country. What should we expect from this important project? Let's have a look at the top stories. The Minister of Interior, Mohammed Ibrahim, held a press conference on Thursday, mainly to reveal the circumstances of an attack on the police headquarters in Adaqahliya Governorate last month and other terrorist attacks. He said that investigations showed that suspects in Mansoura bombing are linked to the Brotherhood terrorist organization, adding that the suicide attacker identity was confirmed through the DNA tests. He also said that the son of the Brotherhood leader, Al-Mungi Saad Hussein, was involved in this heinous crime. Ibrahim also said that the ministry reveals confessions by suspects of Mansoura attack, noting that the ministry seeks information to arrest Ansar Bayt al-Maqdis leader. The minister also vowed to continue combating and uprooting terrorism, adding that the ministry is capable of achieving security in Egypt, supported by the cabinet. Let's highlight more this important story, supporting and stressing the possible procedures. And we have with us General Hisham Safiuddin, our security expert for tonight. General Hisham, thank you very much for joining Nile TV and the Daily Debate, and Happy New Year to you.
Thank you very much, and Happy New Year to you and all the viewers.
Thank you very much, General. Well, your assessment of that important press conference and the information that has been asserted earlier in the day by the Minister of Interior, finding suspects in Mansoura bombing linked to the Brotherhood terrorist organization.
Well, I would like to start with highlighting the indications. This indicates to restoring back the databases that we used to have, restoring back the security apparatus that the Muslim Brotherhood have fought to destroy. This is a wonderful accomplishment by the Ministry of Interior, revealing the case, which was a very big one, during a few days only. And that includes also forensic investigation and other sort of investigation, integrated operations, and then getting to the result that led to my second indication. The Muslim Brotherhood, or the terrorist group of Muslim Brotherhood, is involved, as usual, with groups affiliated to Hamas, which is Kataib al-Qassam or Bayt al-Maqdis. I mean, the very same old faces and the very bad faces are now revealed again, are now exposed again, thanks to the security apparatus that's doing a wonderful and great job.
Right. General, well, this comes timely as Egyptians actually are keen, of course, definitely to know who the culprits are in this heinous crime. And this encourages Egyptians to participate in the upcoming referendum, because this is going to be the best response. Sharing by Egyptians in the upcoming referendum is the best response to such heinous crimes. Do you agree?
Absolutely, absolutely. We are all soldiers in this country. I mean, it's not only the army or the police officers that are taking part in this war. We should all fight against the terrorism. And the role of the citizen is no less than any other role. So the role of ordinary citizen is to participate and to fight against them by saying yes to our Constitution, yes to our roadmap, and yes to our Constitution.
From the eyes of a security expert, what sort of lessons were taught from Mansoura tragic incidents?
Well, there are lots, of course, but let's start by enhancing our security measures around our security apparatus and the strategic buildings. This is one of the main learned lessons from this tragic accident. Also, that Delta is not far away from other targets that the Muslim Brotherhood and other affiliated radical groups are trying to attack, especially those cities that are fighting against terrorism. Those cities are rejecting the Muslim Brotherhood existence, like Munufeya, like Dakahliya.
Right.
Those governorates, they have declared that they don't tolerate any violations by the Muslim Brotherhood.
Right. General Hisham Safiuddin, our security expert on the Daily Debate for tonight. Thank you very much, General, for joining the Daily Debate and Nile TV. Well, continuing the leading stories making headlines, Interim President Adli Mansour renewed on Wednesday The tenure of Lieutenant General Mohammed as chairman of the Suez Canal Authority, the body that controls Egypt's strategic waterway, for another year. Memesh, a former member of the Supreme Council of the Armed Forces, was appointed to the position in 2012. Before heading the authority, Memesh commanded Egypt's Navy and has insisted the canal is tightly secured, and announced in December the Suez Canal Authority has made the highest returns in 6 months. And the prosecutors began investigations at the scene of an attack on a gas pipeline between Egypt and Jordan in Sinai. The eyewitnesses living in a Baghdad village in central Sinai had told Al-Ahram news website that they heard a large blast before midnight and also saw flames by suspected militants. After Morsi's ouster following mass protests against him back in June 2013, attacks on the pipelines had resumed. And more about an economic survey. Almost half a sample of the Middle East-based fund managers expect to raise the equity allocations to Egypt in the next 3 months, according to the latest monthly survey of the leading fund managers in the region. None expect to reduce their exposure. The results of the survey of leading fund managers in the region conducted in the past 10 days show growing optimism about the recovery of the Egyptian economy. 47% of 15 managers said that they were likely to put more money into equities, up from 33% in November's survey. All the other managers expect to keep their Egyptian allocations steady for the first time since the survey was launched in September. Also this week were statements by the Minister of Planning, Dr. Ashraf Al-Arabi, who said that the value of the European investments in Egypt until now had reached $45 billion, while the value of Gulf investments in the country reached $50 billion. In statements, Al-Arabi pointed out that the recovery and development of the Egyptian economy, it requires attraction of foreign investments of a value that is worth $50 billion annually, in addition to 850,000 jobs, to absorb the labor market that represents a major challenge before the current and the next governments. The minister made it clear that foreign investments in Egypt do not exceed $2 billion annually. And Foreign Minister Nabil Fahmy said Egypt is keen on cooperating with all the 9 basin countries in a manner that benefits all parties. Fahmy said that Egypt's water security is an indispensable part of the country's national security and it cannot be ignored, adding that there are historic and legal rights that cannot be overlooked by any country. Ethiopia started diverting the course of the Blue Nile, the main tributary of the Nile River, in May as part of a plan to build the hydroelectric dam that generates electricity. And definitely Egypt is dealing with the challenges concerning water security. That's all for reading the hour's top stories that made headlines, but in a whole week, and co-relevant also to the economic segment that we are going to be discussing on the daily debate for tonight. The Suez Canal Access Development Project remains one of the most important and promising projects for the country. What is the plan, and what should we expect from this important project? How is it going to address the different targets that we have talked about in the introduction? The project is not new. However, are the challenges to making it feasible on solid grounds new? How can we address them? Right after this report, we'll be back.
The Egyptian government planned a project to develop the Suez Canal access and is calling for investors to pitch in. The Suez Canal and its surrounding land shall become a strategic hub for logistics and maritime transport in an area of 7,000 kilometers, including Suez, Port Said, Ismailia, North and South Sinai. The project is planned to be completed before 2017. Minister of Housing Tariq Wafi tried to calm analysts and experts that opposed the project by assuring that investors would not be allowed to own lands along the Suez Canal. Egypt will go through 4 stages to develop each port in the region, build a container and multi-purpose terminals where vessels can unload their freight to temporary storage. One vessel will generate 25% more profit, from 75 to 100 American dollars. Establish distribution centers where oil and cars will be primarily stored and picked up by other vessels for distribution. construct a bunkering terminal, logistics and service centers in all terminals, build industrial hubs and logistics centers around the Suez Canal in order to take in containers and manufacture goods. One vessel will generate revenue of 3,000 American dollars instead of 2,000 American dollars. The project promises to develop Port Said East, the Technology Valley, the Northwest Gulf of Suez, and the Sokhna Port. Today, the Sokhna Port can host up to 1.1 million vessels annually. After its development, it is planned to have the capacity for 1.7 million. The Arabia port will be expanded to reach 180% of its original size by June 2013. It would serve as an example for the other to-be-developed ports. The Northwest Gulf of Suez will become a hub for several sectors such as tourism, housing, investment, heavy industry, petrochemicals, and trade. Ismailia will be focusing on tourism, agriculture, and industry, offering 216 million job opportunities. The government will offer 69 pieces of land for young investors to encourage them to create small and medium-sized businesses, and will help in creating the Technology Valley, a city based on industries in software development and medical technology, including scientific research centers and academies. The Suez Canal Development Project will also connect roads on each side of the waterway through 9 different bridges and tunnels.